Hello, welcome to another Tuesday live show from the studios of Digital DJ Tips, the world's leading online DJ school. And today is a special one because we've had so many questions, and I mean so many questions, about the new XDJ-AZ controller from AlphaTheta / Pioneer DJ. It's fair to say there hasn't been as much excitement about a launch of a piece of DJ gear for a long time. And when you get past all the, oh, it's not as good as this, or I wanted that, or hey, it's brilliant, it's much better than this, and all that stuff, when you get past all that, there's a lot of people who've got some serious decisions to make about whether they want to buy this or not, and they're asking some really useful questions. So what we've done, and literally hundreds, we've gone through all the questions that have been asked underneath our videos. Our videos have had, I don't know, 100,000 views already across the various platforms. We've done a review video, I'll show them to you. We've done a review video of this. We've done a versus video. Oh, they're not working, unfortunately. Black screen time. Anyway, you could see them all on digitaldjtips.com. We've looked at it versus the Denon DJ Prime 4 Plus, which is probably its biggest competitor. Also, tomorrow, I think there's another video, or even later today, which looks at it compared to the Opus Quad. In fact, I think that's already out as well. And so we're trying to do our best, but we are still being inundated. Now, there's only a few of us here, so rather than answer the same questions over and over again privately, we thought we'd do a video for not only our students, but also for the wider public, if you like, to help you to decide if this is right for you. So I've just got all the questions. They're all here. But more importantly, I've got the laptop, which means your questions are coming in live. So anything you want to know about this new unit, anything that is surprising and you're not sure you've got right, anything you want to know about the way the software works on it, just ask, and I'll try my hardest to get to your questions live as we're going through. But for now, here I've got all the questions that were asked over and over again, and I'm just going to go through them one by one. So that's what we're doing for the next who knows how long. So first question, and in various ways and in various forms, the question is this basically a replacement for the Pioneer DJ XDJ-XZ? And yes, it is. And that's the best way to understand this unit. They've basically taken everything that people liked about that unit and they've corrected the things people didn't like. So they've given it a much bigger screen. They've kept the nice big jog wheels, but they're now the jog wheels off the CDJ-3000. So they've updated those. Very, very importantly, they've given it 4 full channels of software control. But they've kept the pads down here. Clearly this is something people liked. And they've added a couple of extra features as well, which are kind of just nice to have, really, if you like. One of them being you can now use it with these Sonic Link headphones, which have got no wire, by pressing a button on the front of it, which have just come out as well. They're a new headphone, the XDJ-F10 from AlphaTheta. So there's a nice little headline feature there. And they've made, as I say, various updates. One of the biggest updates they've made, for instance, is on the software, where you now have this obviously a bigger new screen that can show all 4 channels and so on, but have this mixer settings button that gives you really easy access to a lot of settings that were on hardware buttons all around the place. So funnily enough, even though it now does more, it's actually a bit more spacious. There's more space around here, there's more space around the knobs here and so on. So, you know, it's a lot of changes going on here, but ultimately it is the corrected, improved XDJ-XZ, and that is the best way to look at it, especially when people are saying things like, well, why hasn't it got this and why hasn't it got that, and why didn't they change this and why didn't they do that? Because they already knew what they wanted to do. In my view, they wanted to update the XDJ-XZ, which did really, really well despite only having 2 channels of its 4 channels available for standalone control. Did really well. They just wanted to fix it, and they did. And it's going to sell like hotcakes. No matter what keyboard warriors say, why didn't they do this, why didn't they do that, and so on. No matter what people say, I can guarantee you, it's the reason we're so excited about this, it's going to sell like hotcakes, and we're going to be teaching this probably more than any other DJ unit for the next 5 years. Hence, we're trying to do a good job of getting people's questions answered early on. That's our view on it anyway. So the next question we're getting asked a lot, why have they removed features like the send output, 2 of the 4 analog inputs and the Ethernet switch? Let's talk a little bit about this. So around the back of the unit, yes, indeed, they have no longer got 4 inputs. So you can't use all 4 channels for record decks or CDJs or whatever. They're just not there. And they've also lost the send, well, there's no return, but the send, where you could send out individual channels to an external unit, an effects unit or a sampler. And there's only one Ethernet port here as well now. And so if you want to use Pro DJ Link, and the reason you'd use Pro DJ Link is so that you could use external, say, CDJ 3000s to control decks 3 and 4 of the unit across the Ethernet. Why have they removed that? The old one had 4 sockets around the back for plugging those things in. So look, we're not AlphaTheta, so I can't answer that question for you. So my view on that is that they decided these weren't features that people use that often. And so in order to get everything into this unit at the price they wanted to build it for, they took them off. You know, that's the harsh reality of it. Or, quite likely as well, because this unit fixes so many of the genuine shortcomings of the one that came before it, it's now moved even closer to this kind of setup here. Like really close to it. To the point where we're going to be talking about whether you've money no object, whether you should be buying this or whether you should just be buying this nowadays. So I think they're probably thinking, well, we can't make it too close to our Pro gear that costs like 8,000 instead of 3,000, because if we do, no one will buy that. Again, it's just business. So I think the truth is probably mixed in there somewhere. The point here is that for most people, I think the things they've taken off aren't really going to matter. But yes, they've taken them off. So if they do matter to you, it's certainly something that is not going to be welcomed. But they have added an awful lot more, of course. So we are working through these questions. If you've just tuned in late, we've been asked a lot of questions about this unit. And so rather than answer them all over and over and over again individually, we're going to answer them all right here, right now. And hopefully that will give a good resource for people who are tuning in the future and wanting answers to the biggest questions about this unit. So the next one, and this is coming so many times, if I was to go into the comments underneath our videos and in our forums and in our community and just search for this one word against this, I guarantee it would come up, you know, scores of times. Does it have stems? Does it have stems? That's pretty much the exact wording. So for those that don't know, stems is the ability to separate the vocal from the music, from the drums, sometimes from the bass line, on the unit in real time, so you can have instant acapellas, instant instrumentals, instant live remixes and so on. Does this unit have that? The answer is no, it doesn't. But then the thing I would say immediately next is there is no standalone all-in-one DJ unit that has this. There is no DJ unit anywhere that can do this without plugging DJ software in and doing it from a laptop. And the reason for that is it's really, really hard to do it properly. And building it into a DJ unit is probably fraught with danger, and this is my view. So they haven't done it, no one's done it. Den and DJ tried. They kind of put a tentative little beta version out there for the Prime 4 Plus that just let you split the acapella from the instrumentals, and it didn't sound good, and they kind of like quietly, as far as I'm concerned, shelved it because that was a long time ago. We've not heard anything about it since. So look, you can't get this for any standalone unit. It's just not there. It's kind of mystifying to me why so many people are up in arms about this. Remember, this has been designed, in our view, to replace the XDJ-XZ and to give people a viable alternative to going all in and buying a couple of these and one of these just to get the same kind of functionality. None of this gear has got standalone stems on it. Most pro DJs will prepare the acapellas and the parts they want to use ahead of time and then put them into the unit as acapellas and as instrumentals rather than try and do it in real time, because they'll sound better and they can be more sure of what they're getting. So no, it doesn't. Personally, I don't think it's a big thing, but the good news is that if you do want to use those things, this unit also works with software, right? In the same way that the Prime 4 Plus, for instance, works with software. Most of these units also work with DJ software. Most of these units, you can hit the source button up here and you can use software control. That's indeed the way I've got it running at the moment on this unit. I've got it running with software control, and I've got Rekordbox running over here. I'm actually going to try and get it working just so I can show you. I'll probably put the whole stream off air if I try and do that, but hey, come on, up you come. There we go. So we've got Rekordbox running here in software. So I'm actually using software here to interface with this unit here. And so all of these things do that. All of these things have software control as well. And so you can still use stems with that. Now, here's where it gets a little bit complicated, because Serato has done a really good job, and this works with Serato, it unlocks Serato, has done a really good job of letting you use stems on all gear. And by the way, I say it works with Serato, it's like it's coming in the next few weeks. Serato has done a really good job on all its gear of making it backward compatible with stems. In other words, if you've got an older controller, it will still work with Serato stems, which is great, because they let you switch out a pad mode that you don't really want to use and use that to control stems, and it works really well. Rekordbox hasn't done that. So if you want to use this with software control with Rekordbox, then you're going to need to possibly try and map it to some controls you don't need or something, or maybe to the pads or something like that. I've no idea if that's possible. We haven't tried it. It's a little bit unfortunate. Maybe they'll come out with a way of doing that. But for now, I think this is definitely going to be fine with Serato stems, for sure. So if you want to use stems, use a laptop and Serato with it. But it doesn't use stems out of the box, that's for certain. I'm going to come to your comments in a second. I just want to get a couple more of these really big questions out of the way, because it's going to be a long one today. I've just got a sense of that. So I just want to get a couple more of the big questions out of the way. So, all right, Phil, it works with software, but do I have to pay for that software? Says a few of you. So look, it's written on the unit. Rekordbox, Serato, it works with these pieces of software out of the box. And that means you can plug it into Rekordbox, you get a really good version of Rekordbox that works with it, and it unlocks Serato DJ Pro as well out of the box. I'm 99% sure I'm right on that. As the words come out of my mouth, I'm thinking, yeah, is that right? But I'm really sure it is right. But I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, which is really good news. It's worth bearing in mind, though, that if you want the advanced features of both of those platforms, you will be paying for them. So in the case of Rekordbox, if you want to use the cloud features, you'll be paying for it. And also the higher Creative and Pro plans have extra bits added that you will be paying a subscription for. But they're not essential. They're really not. The version it unlocks is great. With Serato, even though it unlocks Serato DJ Pro, you don't get the pitch and time expansion pack, which is terrible. It's terrible you don't get that. No Pro DJ software should not have basically the ability to move the key of the tracks you're playing, which is what that gives you. And even worse, you need to pay hundreds extra just to get that one feature, because they won't sell it to you separately anymore. That's for another live stream, that's another debate, but just bear that in mind. However, it does unlock Serato DJ, what they call Serato DJ Pro, even though it's missing what I call an essential feature. So you don't need to buy or subscribe to either of those platforms to get nearly all the features you're probably going to need, is the short answer to that. Let's go to the comments, see what you're saying about this. And then once we've done that for a few minutes, we'll get back to, I've got so many questions here, I'm not joking. We'll get back to the questions I've got. So hello everyone who's live with us. Hello to Kesha and Mixmaster John Roback and Mac and Beatrice and Kevin and Tibor, all the regulars. I don't want you to tell me whether you think it's better than or worse than something else. That's not what this is about. If you're interested in this, this is about answering your questions about this, people. You can head off to any of our other stuff, the reviews and so on, if you want to have a debate about what to get. So let's see if we've got any of your questions on here that aren't on my list. Ivo just says, thank you for the Opus Quad comparison. I'm going to be watching that. Well, I hope that's of use to you. Kevin says, I really want one, but I can't afford one at the moment. And there's probably a waiting list. Yeah, I'm not sure about availability. That's one question I can't answer. It's a good one from YT, who says, what's the point of this and the Opus Quad at the same time? We're actually going to answer that a little bit later on. And we've also got that video which will show you the differences between the two. So Robert says, what's the benefits of this over the XDJ-XZ, the original one? Well, I've kind of answered that already. This has only got all 4 channels of control without using a laptop, whereas the XDJ-XZ has only got 2. This lets you use the wireless headphones. They're the main things. This has got a far nicer screen for navigating and so on. And this has got key shifting. This has got the cloud stuff built in. This has got Rekordbox built in. So this has got an awful lot more compared to the one that came before it. But the one that came before it, as we've discussed, has got more connectivity. And if you're only ever going to use 2 of those channels for standalone use, the XDJ-XZ is still a brilliant unit. So let's just move back to our how fast is the track load, says Lee. It's fast. Certainly a lot faster than the one that came before it, for certain. Right. Let's move on to the questions that you've asked ahead of time then, because I have spent some time trying to kind of like compile them all into the really big popular ones that get asked over and over again. And here is one that does get asked over and over again. We kind of touched on it. Can I use it with external effects on samplers like the DJ-1000? Our very own James Hype, of course, uses the DJ-1000 a lot. And so it's not ideal anymore because they've removed that send from the back, so you can't send directly to it. So what you'd have to do would be plug your DJ-1000 or your effects unit over the master output, and then plug the master output back into one of the channel inputs. So really that's not ideal anymore. And then maybe there'll be a hack, maybe there'll be a way around it. Maybe there'll be a way, for instance, of using one of the USBs to get the individual channels out of the sound card into a unit like that and then back into it. I don't know that. I mean, you can definitely do that on this unit here. That's up the top here. You've got a insert source for USB. You don't actually have that anywhere on this unit. Whether it's hackable, I don't know. It's certainly something that we will find out if it is, but right now I'm not sure that you can do that. This is a question that gets asked a lot because you couldn't do it on the old one and you can do it on rival units. Can you analyze music on board? In other words, can you just get a USB drive full of tracks that you've just got from anywhere and just plug it in, forget the laptop, and just have it analyze them? So you've got your waveforms and your key information and so on. And the good news is, yes, you can, which brings it up to parity with things like the Denon DJ units and the Numark mix stream units and so on, the Engine DJ stuff. Yes, you can. It's not an ideal way of doing it though, because the ideal way and the way this is designed is for you to use Rekordbox. Rekordbox's export mode to do this stuff. And so that means that you're keeping your collection nice and neat, all in one place. If you're using the cloud, it will stay in sync with that. If you're using the Rekordbox app on your mobile, it will stay in sync with that. The idea is that you do it all away from the unit and you just perform from the unit. And that's why Rekordbox is such a good platform for arranging your music and so on and getting it all ready for playing on it. That said, yes, it will analyze the music if you want to do it on the unit itself. So yes, it is possible. And the reason for that is that they had to do it, of course, because it's now got Beatport streaming built into it. And so you'd need to be able to analyze your Beatport songs on load to find the beat grids and all the information, the waveforms and so on. So it's been built in and that's why. It also works on the CDJ-3000s in exactly the same way because of that. Okay, let's grab the next question. This one is about decks 3 and 4 on this unit. So I think I'll probably roll a couple of questions together here. So can I use decks 3 and 4 for DVS? In other words, can I put record decks like these on either side of my spanking brand new XDJ-AZ and plug them in to decks 3 and 4 and then control 2 decks using those? Well, yes, you can. Obviously, the only way you can use digital vinyl systems is with your DJ software. So you typically use it with Serato to do that, although you can do it with Rekordbox as well. And then you can use the built-in jog wheels for controlling decks 1 and 2, and you'd use your two turntables that you've got set up on either side of it, plugged in around the back to control 3 and 4. You most certainly can do that. You can also plug in 2 CDJ-3000s, for instance, and do the same thing with that using Pro DJ Link, which we kind of touched on earlier. Worth bearing in mind that you can't plug in 1 CDJ-3000 and use the other 3 channels for software control. It's 2 or 4. So in other words, everything for software control, or press the button in the settings and keep the middle 2 for software control. And by software control, I mean using USB. And then the outside 2 for Pro DJ Link. Just an extra little thing there. Pro DJ Link is 2 or 4, or rather, you don't get a chance of dividing the 2. Anyway, that was a kind of niche question that was also asked at the same time. This one has been asked a few times. I'm quite intrigued. It's always good to know what's important to you, and this is one that I didn't think would be important, but it turns out that it is. Why has it only got 1 USB socket on the back instead of 2, which would make it a lot easier to swap over with 2 DJs both playing on their own laptops? And you know what, it would. And most high-end DJ controllers have got 2 computer USBs, so you can switch over. But this hasn't. This has only got, and you can double check that in all kinds of ways, but one of the ways is by looking at the mixer settings and looking at the way the channels are configured. It's only got single computer inputs. So the reason for that is that I think they've decided that this is really a standalone unit. It's made for using away from the laptop. So it's nice to be able to use it with a laptop, but it's not who they made it for. Also, remember we were talking about, I don't think they want people to buy this and stick it in venues. If this did have 2 USBs on the back, it would be a really, really good replacement for this in venues. But it hasn't. And so venue owners will get whinged at by DJs who can't switch over their laptops on this, were they to install this in their venues because of that, right? So again, it's just maybe the thought, you know, we can't put everything on this or else people won't buy the more expensive stuff, especially out in public. And so one piece of good news though is that this unit will load the whole song if you've got a USB drive plugged in. By the way, I've got a SSD, I've got a terabyte SSD here, which I'm using. So I'm not actually using a USB pen drive. So sorry, you couldn't see that properly. I've got a terabyte USB here. So some people ask, can I plug a hard drive into it? You can't mount one in it. It hasn't got a hole underneath, an enclosure, but you can use a big SSD because I'm doing it here. Anyway, my point is you can load the full song onto a deck and then you can just unplug that and it will still play the song. So you could switch over very, very easily between 2 DJs on USB while still recording on the other one quite happily, for instance, just to give you an example. But also you could have an SSD or a USB drive handy and you could use that when switching over on the back between 2 laptop DJs. But no, it doesn't have the ability to switch laptops with 2 laptop USBs. Just while we're talking about the channels, let's just cover off this one because I got this asked a few times. Why are the numbers here 3, 1, 2, 4? Why aren't they 1, 2, 3, 4? That's silly. The reason for that is the same reason why they're numbered that way on some other Pro gear. Not all. For instance, over here on the main DJM-A9, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. But the reason for that is there's always been, especially on this kind of unit, a difference between the inner 2 channels, which is seen as the main 2 channels, and these 2, which are seen as the auxiliary 2. These are the 2 that can work with external inputs. These 2 will always be working with the USB drive when you're using this the way it's been designed to be used. Of course, these 2 could be as well, but these 2 always will be. These are the 2 you can switch to Pro DJ Link. These are the 2 you can switch to external inputs. These are the 2 you can switch to DVS. These are the 2 you're going to be using less than these 2, which is why they're number 1, 2, 3, 4. And that also comes across to the deck select here. Generally, the deck selects will be on decks 1 and 2, because that's what you're using, those 2 decks. 3 and 4, they get a different color, white, and they're secondary. So think about the internal 2 channels as your main 2 and the 2 on the outside as the secondary, and that kind of will help you to make sense of that. Right, so you having fun, people? It's nice to answer all these questions in one go for everyone. They're also going to be in an article which will get live in the next few days on the website as well. So the next question is quite an interesting one, and I've heard this a few times, and I'm going to do the very best I can to answer it. And this is exactly cut and pasted from the person who asked it, so thank you. If this is meant to be aimed at the club DJ crowd, unlike the Opus Quad, which was aimed at the mobile DJ crowd, why does the Opus Quad get CDJ style buttons across the top of its jog wheel, whereas this one gets controller style pads underneath its jog wheels? Surely, if this is aimed at the club crowd, this should have the hot cues across the top. And I think this is a very good question. And in truth, I think the reason goes back to what we talked about earlier. This is an XDJ-XZ updated. The original XDJ-XZ was basically similarly looking to this with layout. I don't think they changed it because no one complained about it. Another way of looking at it, I think, is this is maybe to be seen as a universal device, right? So it's to be seen as something you use with USB drives and standalone without a laptop, and you've now got 4 channels and all that, and it looks and feels very similar to club gear, which is great. There's another box ticked, but also you can plug it into Serato and Rekordbox and have a really, really nice control surface for those as well. And for those platforms, this is probably still what people expect and prefer, right? So they've experimented with putting the click pads, if you like. They're more like click buttons across the top on the Groove 6, the latest kind of mid-range controller they've launched for their own Rekordbox software platform. But that's an experiment, I think, and if it doesn't work, they'll stop doing that. Whereas on a unit like this, I think they had to be a bit conservative and just stick with what they liked. That's my view about that as well. I know a related question, which is, you know, it's a bit, it's one of those things that I bet the company would rather people weren't asking, but people are asking, so we're going to answer it. Remember, we're not affiliated to any of these companies. We're a DJ school. We're paid for by you guys exclusively. Then the question goes something like this. I thought that this new name, AlphaTheta, was going to be for the more adventurous type gear, right? And Pioneer DJ was going to be for the more standard gear, the more what's expected. So why is the Opus Quad, and remember we've got a review of the Opus Quad as well as a comparison of the Opus Quad and this, why is the Opus Quad, which was definitely one of those pieces that was a bit out there, why was that labelled Pioneer DJ and yet this one is labelled AlphaTheta? It's not what they said and it doesn't seem to make sense. So it's an absolutely fair point to make. And our view as a DJ school, our view as just like you, as someone outside looking in, is that Pioneer DJ is dead. They might not say it, but just judge people by what they do, not what they say. At the end of the day, have you seen a piece of DJ launched with the word Pioneer DJ written on it ever since that AlphaTheta name dropped? We haven't. We don't think we will. We might be proved wrong. We have no insider information here. But my view is that everything's going to be AlphaTheta from now on. So that was always a bit of a red herring. That's my view on that. It'd be interesting to know what you think, but hey, that's where I'm coming from on that one. Right, so let's get another couple of, so DJ Stu C is saying exactly the same thing. We'll never see Pioneer DJ gear again. This is the end of it, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And a few of you are saying, who cares? Yeah, I'm with you. I don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. Some people are really like, oh, they've changed the name. That's everything for me. But why? It's the same people. It's the same gear. It's the same everything. Anyway, we're all different. Right. So let's grab the next question then. This is we're going to go really into the weeds here and answer some stuff that you won't find answers to anywhere else. This one is from the point of view of the really nice feature at the top here, which is interestingly, this is sometimes called the isolator EQ on old-fashioned mixers, but this is an EQ that goes across the whole master output. So we've got a low, mid and high, so you've also got the low, mid and highs for each individual channel, but you've also got it across the master output. This is really nice because you can EQ the room with this. So if the room is a bit boomy, you can take a bit of bass out of it. If the room needs a bit of high adding, you can turn the high up a bit and give it a bit of sizzle that wasn't there before, etc., without having to then do it on all of the individual channels, right? So this is nice. But the question is, can this be set to isolator mode, which means basically when you turn it all down like that, you won't hear anything, which again is quite often what you find on very old-fashioned style mixers, rotary mixers. And the answer is no, you can't. It would be in here, it would be in this panel here if you could, and you can't. It's not possible. I've checked everywhere. What you can do is set these four. You can see on the little mixer here, you can set these to isolator EQ here, which means that when you turn these down, it will cut the track out entirely. So I could probably get a track playing and show you that. So I've currently left the EQ set to the normal EQ. And now if I play a track on this software, I can't do it. Nope, sorry, can't do it. I've turned the software onto another mode away from this. Anyway, just take my word for it. You turn all the EQs all the way down, and you can still hear it a little bit when it's on EQ mode. When it's on isolator mode, you turn them all down, you can't hear anything. I mean, it's a small thing, but for electronic music, a lot of DJs prefer to be able to completely take the frequency out. But you can still do it on the individual channels. You just can't do it on the isolator. So I think we've probably already answered this one, but we'll just do it again to cover it off fully. I'm a professional DJ wanting to upgrade. Would you say that the XDJ-AZ would be a better option rather than two CDJ 3000s and an A9 mixer? Well, it's going to be a cheaper option, but if money is no object and you've got the space and you want exactly the same setup that you'll be using in a club, get a couple of those in a mixer. Even better, get 4 of those in a mixer. But it's going to cost you a 5-figure sum. Whereas for £3 grand, you can get this one here, which will do nearly everything. So we've got several students who've done exactly what I just said. They've bought a big setup like this and they're very happy with it. I coach someone here, a one-to-one, who's exactly like that. However, they're few and far between, those people, because even for the pro DJs, this is going to do pretty much everything you want. So if you don't want to use an external effects unit or sampler, you don't need to plug too much in around the back, then honestly, this one is going to be better value for you. Of course, there's differences. Again, we've already talked about a couple of them. You've got the pads down here instead of at the top on the CDJs. You've got one screen instead of two screens. But for most people, I think the AZ is a better choice. Now, talking about what else to buy instead of this one, this question has come in loads and loads and loads, so I'll just cover it off in one go. Should I buy this instead of the RX3, the Prime 4 Plus, or the Opus Quad? These are good questions. We've got separate comparison videos on those. If we haven't, they're coming soon. But in short, the Prime 4 Plus from DJing DJ is still a more versatile unit. It doesn't have the same operating system that this and most club gear has. So if this is important to you, if the Rekordbox OS is important to you, this is the one to go for. But if it's not, then the Prime 4 Plus is still a great choice, and it's better value. You get more for your money. Compared to the XDJ-RX3, which is the smaller 2-channel, more portable, lighter weight version of this, I've just given you most of the reasons why you go for the XDJ-RX3. It's smaller, it's lighter, it's more portable, it's cheaper. However, it's only got 2 channels, it's got nowhere near all the features. Big thing it's missing that I think is a deal breaker for me in the way I DJ is it hasn't got any key shifting. So you can't shift the key of the track to match the other track, and that's just, it's a deal breaker for me. I DJ like that. So if you don't need that, then the XDJ-RX3 is probably perfect for you because it's got everything that a 2-channel DJ would ever want, and you can plug it in and use it with software as well. It's a very, very popular unit. So what about the Opus Quad? This is an interesting one. Again, we've got a comparison video. It's not already dropped. It will be dropping very, very soon. The Opus Quad is designed for a different kind of DJ. It's designed to be used as a complete unit, so you can't use it with these, controlling the extra decks. It's designed to be a showpiece. It's designed for maybe high-end wedding DJs or really trendy venues where the DJ gear has to look as trendy as the venue, and also as a piece of furniture. You know, we get a lot of DJs here at Digital DJ Tips who've bought the Opus Quad and they have it set up in their living room. Maybe their partner doesn't like the look of this and much prefers the look of the slightly more domesticated Opus Quad, for instance. I mean, you might snigger at this, but it's true. The Opus Quad has got a striking look. Now, not everyone likes it, but so I think the Opus Quad is aimed at a new kind of audience. I think they were pushing the envelope a bit there, trying to see if they could find a different audience who weren't really turned on by the look and feel of club style gear. As far as the features go, the Opus Quad doesn't have the Sonic link for the headphones, doesn't have Rekordbox, sorry, it doesn't have Beatport streaming, although they have promised it. But apart from that, pretty similar in features. Certainly got similar inputs and outputs and so on. The Opus Quad's got a zone output as well, by the way. It just occurred to me there, I should point that out to you. The zone output is the output that lets you play different music to a second room, just like a playlist or something, and you play it maybe on the 4th channel, and then you use the other 3 channels for your normal DJing. You don't get that on this one. So there is another small difference there as well. This question just came in, and it's a good one. Do you have to reboot the unit if you're switching between software control like Serato or Rekordbox and using internal control from a USB drive? No, you don't. And I think that's one of the strengths of this unit, because there are systems out there which are well regarded where there's a real problem if you need to do that. It's literally a reboot. I think one of the strengths of this system is how versatile it is, how universal it is as far as the music you can get into it goes, and how easy it is to switch between that music. Because when you switch to, say, software here or whatever, it's not connected at the moment, when you switch to software, it immediately says what channel do you want to use the software on, and you just press the buttons here and choose a channel. And the other channels can continue to be used on USB drive or on your Bluetooth or whatever. So look, there's loads and loads of inputs here. There's, like I said, USB. There's link, where you can link it to computers, where the computer is used as a library, but you're still using the software in the unit. There's proper software control, where the computer is actually doing all the work, and this is just being used as a massive as a massive controller basically. There's now cloud where you can play your own collection over the cloud. There's now Beatport. There's now Pro DJ Link where you can control decks 3 and 4 with units like this. And there's Bluetooth inputs as well. So there's an awful lot of ways of getting music into this. And you know what, I've probably missed a couple, but they're very easy to switch between. It is one of the strengths of this unit for certain. So no, you don't need to reboot the unit if you switch from USB to software. Speaking about USB, if I'm exporting music to a USB drive to use on this, do I need to use the new Rekordbox Library Plus? So this is a real geeky one, but we've been asked it a couple of times, so I'll answer it. Inside the Rekordbox software, when you're exporting music, nowadays it will say to you, by default, this is going to be something called Rekordbox Library Plus. And Rekordbox Library Plus is the new way of managing the database of music when you export to a USB drive and so on. It's better than the old way of doing it because it's faster, it can work with bigger playlists and more tunes, etc, etc, etc. But in order to switch from the old way, which was called Rekordbox Library, which even the CDJ-3000s are still on Rekordbox Library, it's very new. It's only the newest gear, like the Omnis Duo and this. I'm not sure if the Opus Quad, I think the Opus Quad might still be in the old system. I'm not sure. But anyway, all the new gear will be on Rekordbox Library Plus. The problem is if you want to also DJ on the older gear, because that won't work with Rekordbox Library Plus. Have you ever updated software like video editing software or something and it says your library won't work with this new software, you've got to update your library in the background? You know, even things like photo apps like Apple Photos will do the same thing. The problem then is that you get them both out of sync. So if you're not careful, you'll make changes on a unit like this, it'll go back to your main Rekordbox on your computer, and when you then export a USB drive to use on older gear, even, you know, modern older gear, you'll find that the stuff you did on this hasn't changed. The cue points you did and all that stuff hasn't changed. It's fiddly, it's clunky, and I wouldn't be surprised if you don't understand it. It took a lot of head scratching for us too. The point is though that from now on, all DJ gear launched by Pioneer DJ /AlphaTheta will work with Rekordbox Library Plus exclusively. So in a few years it'll be history that, but it's worth bearing in mind that there's a process to go through to keep both those libraries in sync. And what it does is it puts them both on the USB drive at the moment, which again is quite clunky. So yeah, there's a real problem there. It's confusing a lot of people. But to the people asking, no, this only works with the new way of doing it. Right. Couple more geeky questions before I'm going to end what I've got here. Then we're going to go over to you for the end of the show today. So the next one is about recording your sets. When recording your sets, can you use both USB drives? Yes, you can. In the settings here, you get to choose when recording which you record to, whether you want to record to USB 1 or USB 2. So you can record to the same USB your music's on, or you can record to another one entirely if you want. You can record the whole night's set on USB 2, and the DJs can all be swapping their music on USB 1, because remember, it will hold a whole song in memory when you're swapping USB drives. So that's quite a nice feature as well. Another question that was asked about recording that we'll cover off now as well is if you're recording and you're using a microphone, and I tested this, that's why I've got the microphone out. If you're using a microphone and you're using the push to talk or the talkover in order to talk over the music that you're recording, A, will that come out on the recording? And B, if you choose for it not to come out on the recording, but you're using talkover, remember talkover will make the music quieter as you talk on the microphone. Does the music then get quieter in the background as you're doing that? So the good news is we tested it all, and the good news is, so you've got your settings for the microphone on the recording here. You can decide here whether the microphone output is recorded. So if you press that off, then it doesn't matter what you do here. Doesn't matter, you could be screaming over the whole set, you could be pressing talk over all the time, you could be pressing push to talk all the time. Whatever you do, it's not going to affect the recording. The recording will keep the music at the same volume and your mic won't get recorded. Of course, if you turn this on, then the mic will get recorded and the ducking of the music will get recorded as well. So worth bearing that in mind, that it is possible to have a recording without the microphone on it at all, if that's what you want. I think we're pretty close to having all your questions answered here. So I'm just scanning through what I've got on my list here just to make sure that we've covered off all the big ones. Oh yeah, we just had kind of one more here, which was about the EQ and the tempo faders. So this was quite intriguing because I had to go and check this. So the student said, have the EQs got a click in the middle at 12 o'clock? And they have. But the student said, because on the Flex 10, which is the high-end controller from this brand, they haven't. Well, they have also on the Flex 10. So anyway, they have got that click in the middle that says that the EQ isn't on, it's not cutting or boosting. But the other part of the question was, do the tempo faders have the click in the middle as well? So the answer to that is no, they don't. But there's a dead area in the middle here. And the dead area, it doesn't matter, you know, you can go close to naught and it will be at naught. There's just this area where it doesn't go up or down, right in the very middle, which is kind of like having a click. You get used to like just getting it to there or thereabouts, and you know it's going to be at naught. So no, it doesn't, but actually it doesn't really matter that it hasn't got that there. And finally for the questions asked ahead of time. This is coming from loads of people, mainly because you know we do this, so I'll cover it for those of you that don't know we do this. I want one of these. I've ordered one of these. I've even got one of these, and now I want to know how to use it properly. Do you have any training on this? And the answer is yes, we do. For all major DJ gear releases, we do what we call video manuals and training tutorials. So that's where we literally spend normally 2 hours. It's normally a 2-hour course going through absolutely everything, and I mean absolutely everything. We'll go through absolutely every setting that you can get to on here, talking you through it. We'll go through absolutely every input and output, all the different ways you can configure it, getting external decks, DVS working with it, going through all the stuff that you would literally tear your hair out reading the manual in order to understand. At the same time, feeding in all the useful feedback that we've already got from our students about the units. And that's absolutely free. We've got them for the original XDJ-XZ, we've got it for the Opus Quad, we've got it for the Prime 4 Plus, and many others. And it's coming for this. We are building it right now for this unit. So that's going to be a monstrous lesson. And you can click the link underneath this video when it goes live as a record, well, when the recording goes into our channel, and there'll be links underneath there where you can find out where you can register for that. Then we'll email you and let you know when it's ready. You might be watching this in the future. Hello. It's probably already ready. Again, click the link underneath. It'll take you straight to it. And it's free, totally free. And people often say, why? You're a DJ school. Why are you giving this away for free? Because it doesn't turn you into a DJ. Just because you know how to use this, you're no closer to being a DJ. You just know how to use your gear. It's like someone sitting in a car with you and pointing out over your control. You've still got to learn to drive the damn thing. That's where we get interested. We want to teach you the creative stuff. We want to teach you how to DJ, not how to figure out how to use your gear. Because the way we teach, you can do it on any gear, right? You just need to get to the starting line. So we give away for free the stuff that gets you to the starting line. And then we trust that if you like our style, you'll become a student. And if you are returning to DJing, if this is your first unit, then congratulations. You've got the money and you've got the commitment there. If this is your first unit, maybe you're brand new or returning to DJing, you do need that help, then do take a look at our complete DJ course, because the complete DJ course has helped tens of thousands of DJs. It's based on the book, which is a bestseller, and it's a proven formula for learning to DJ. So do take a look at the Digital DJ Tips Complete DJ course if you need help in all the big areas of DJing: gear, music, mixing, performing, and success. Whew, that was quite a long curriculum today, quite a long set lesson. However, my favourite part is pulling in the laptop and chatting to you. So if you're watching the recording, stick around anyway. If you're watching the recording, you can still ask questions underneath, but if you're with us live, you can ask questions right here, right now, and I'll try my hardest to answer as many as I can. So I'm going to scroll right to the top. I've got this huge list of questions here. So as I say, I'm going to try my hardest to answer as many as I can. John says the master channel EQ, we were talking about the 3 knobs at the top, should be handled by a sound engineer and not handled by the unit. Nah. It's great to have it on the unit. Mobile DJs have got their own PA systems. Much easier to be able to tweak the master EQ from here than to go to your PA system and do it. I agree. If you've got a sound engineer, great. If you've got a sound engineer, though, you've probably got this gear. So no, I disagree with you there. I think it's wonderful to have it on the unit itself. It means you're not EQing the room on these EQs, and that's a really good thing. But thank you for that, John. Let's grab the next one then. Do you know if the groove circuit from Rekordbox 7.04 will be available on other controllers. So no, we don't. It certainly won't be available on this, and we have no idea, because what we've tried to do is map it. We've had to play with it and try to map it, and so far we can't. So I think at the moment, no, it's not going to be mappable to other controllers. Are there multiple screen layouts? It's a good question on here. And no, there aren't multiple screen layouts. You just get 2 channels horizontal and you get 4 channels here, and that's it at the moment. So unlike the Prime 4, you don't get those layouts there. You're stuck with the way it is here. Right, so it's less than a year, says Ashley, since the Opus Quad was released, and then they dropped this. It's the same with Rain, dropping the Performer just after the Rain 4. And so it begins and ends, and so it goes on. Is there any difference apart from the price and the hype? Well, look, the Rain Performer and the Rain 4, just to go slightly off topic for a minute, one of them's got motorised jog wheels and one hasn't. So that's more a choice than one replacing the other. And again, with the Opus Quad and this, it's more a choice. They're both different, and hopefully we've covered that a bit. But do go and watch our video that compares the two. And a few of you are agreeing with me that it's awfully useful to have external EQs across the master output. I do agree that it is. Right, I'm looking for questions, so I'm just going to search here for literally for a question mark. And if I can find question marks, then you're probably asking a question, because there's so many questions here that it's going to take me forever to dig them all out. So what else have we got? Thank you, by the way, everyone, for helping each other out. It's awesome. So you mentioned that the AZ and the Prime 4 comparison, you mentioned in your AZ and Prime 4 comparison that the Opus is closer to a CDJ than the AZ. So no, it's not. The Opus Quad is nothing like using CDJs, well, it is a bit like it, they all are. Apart from the fact that it does have those buttons over the top, which, as I said earlier on, is a little bit curious. But if you want something that's more like using club gear, pretty much exactly like using club gear, it's definitely this one out of the two. It really is. This is, other than that anomaly, this one's very, very similar to using that gear that's to my left there. Thank you for that. Made in Machines. Is that a Remarkable in your hand, says Devin? I literally got mine last week. Yes, it is. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a paper tablet, basically. It looks like a Kindle, but you can write on it, and I use it for absolutely everything. So yes, it is. Wonderful device. Thoroughly recommend it. Doesn't do anything else, mind. You can't DJ on it, but yeah, love it. So yeah, there's lots of people saying, oh, the Opus Quad's actually better looking than this. Again, it's personal choice, but it certainly is it is a striking unit, like it or hate it for certain. So a lot of you saying yes, with the Denon gear you do have to reboot when you want to use software control, when you want to go to computer mode. And a lot of you are interested about what Serato is going to look like on this, and unfortunately we can't tell you because it's not been released yet, but as soon as it is, we will let you know. Most of you are being grown-ups in the chat. Look, we're not here to tell you to buy one system or another. We're not here to tell you one is brilliant and one's rubbish. We're not here to say, if you're not using this, you're a fool. Ultimately, we're all spoiled. Ultimately, all this gear is fantastic. We're here to help you make an informed choice. And then when you have made that choice, we're here to teach you, right? Everything we do for free, everything we do in public is to get you to the point where you're like, okay, teach me now, because that's what we live or die on. You wanting us to teach you. So look, if you're in the comments arguing about, oh, this is better than that, fair enough, but don't try and involve us. We're not interested. We'll just tell you the facts as we see them, and we'll try and help you with whatever choice is right for you. That's the important thing, I think. The best DJs can DJ on anything and want to DJ on everything. They're curious. And so that's the way we approach this stuff. We've got a very open-minded approach indeed, mainly because so have you lot as a rule. Right, okay, what else have we got? When do you think AlphaTheta, says D Tongre on YouTube, will update their operating system to match the hardware? It's so far behind Engine OS, it makes it hard to use the basic functionality. I have a pretty nuanced view on this, to be honest. And I'm going to use a bit of a facetious example, but bear with me. How much has the electric guitar changed in the past 50 years? How much has DJ gear changed in the past 50 years. The biggest change to the guitar was when it went electric, wasn't it? Then they had pickups and distortion pedals and, you know, all the stuff that you couldn't ever do on an acoustic guitar, like been plucked away for centuries. Suddenly you could do it all. Wow. DJ gear's done the same thing. DJ gear has gone from 2 turntables and a mixer to digital, right? And we've ended up with stuff like this. Wonderful, amazing. But at what point does it stop and we get back to doing the actual DJing? So my point here is, I don't think most DJs really want new features after new features after new features. Why have they released something which hasn't got loads of new features on it? I honestly don't think most DJs want that. I think they want familiarity. I think they want reliability. I think they want smoothness and speed, and they want what they want to work well. But I think we're hitting a point, almost like peak feature, where there's no need to add extra stuff. A lot of the extra stuff people don't really ask for and don't really want. So just bear that thought in mind. DJing is not about the gear. The gear ultimately is in your way. The gear is sitting between what's up here and what you want to tell those people out there. The gear is like the guitar. It's like the drums. It's like the keyboard. It's just another way of expressing that and getting it out there. It needs to get out of your way and let you get on with it. And so I'm not so sure that feature after feature after feature is what most DJs want. Hobby DJs are a bit weird in a very, very good way. Because for hobby DJs, the gear is part of the fun. I don't know about you, but I love finding out about new gear, clearly. I love explaining new gear. I love teaching people new gear. I love hi-fi. I love hi-fi. I'm a hi-fi buff. I've got a lovely non-DJ turntable at home. I love my speakers and I love my amp, and I love my music library away from DJing. I love all that stuff. I love it when the new copy of What Hi-Fi magazine drops into my digital inbox every month. I love scanning through all that stuff and geeking out on it, you know, in a way that an audio engineer probably doesn't. They just need the gear to do their job because they're a professional, right? It's the same with DJs. Most DJs are very happy with 2 of these, 1 of those, job done. Never think about it again. They get on with the job of DJing. It's us hobby DJs who get really bogged down in the features and all that stuff. So I just ask you to think, how much are the new features really important when you're saying, well, this hasn't got the same features as that, and well, they're behind. Why don't they do what they've done? Because they've done it and it's great. Well, yeah, maybe, but maybe not everyone wants that. Food for thought. So let's grab a couple more of your questions then, and then we're going to have to get out of here. I think, yeah, look at that, an hour. Wow. We're going to just grab 1 or 2 more. So how does one mix 3 or 4 tracks without sync? Well, it has got a sync, so easy. You just use the sync button. It works across all 4 channels, standalone and using software. And so as long as you've got your beat grids right, then that's not going to be a problem for you. A few of you saying, I really want stems on this stuff. Yes, stems are good, but really stems are all about getting, for me, getting acapellas of everything. And you can do that ahead of time. You can prepare your acapellas really quickly, make them sound really good, double check them, chuck them into the DJ software, export them to your USB, they're all there. So, you know, again, real-time stems are great, but they just save you a bit of time when you're messing around at home. For me, I think certainly the pro DJs I know, they all prepare that stuff ahead of time. I don't know a single pro DJ who presses a button on their DJ gear to put stems into play when they're actually in front of a crowd. It's too risky. Again, just food for thought. Right, what else have we got? 1 or 2 more. And this is from Phil, who says, if they did add stems to a standalone system, they would probably impact the sales of other gear. But I'm sure that there are CDJ 4000s in development that will have stems built in. It's not a question of if, but it's a question of when. Without doubt, we're going to get standalone gear with stems built in. Without doubt. I just don't know how many DJs would actually use it even if it was in them. I mean, they're getting better and better, aren't they? They're sounding better and better, but they're still not perfect. Right, people, this is one of those lives where I never can anyway, but I just can't answer all your questions. You're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, you're on Twitch. If your question wasn't answered in the live chat, cut and paste it underneath the video. We'll get to you there. If you're watching the video of this, then just ask your question underneath. My team and I will get to you. If you want to know about the full review of this, all the comparison videos between this and the Opus Quad and the Prime 4 Plus, and you want to know about our training tutorial for this, then the links will all be underneath that recording if you're watching live, and if you're watching the recording, scroll down a bit, they're all there. How's it been for you? Has this been useful? Let me know in the comments before we go away today. We are pushing on. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up in the next few weeks as we get towards Black Friday and Christmas. There always is. It's a busy time for DJ gear. So keep an eye on the site. But meanwhile, I am going to say, as ever, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being so active in the comments. But from Phil, here in the Digital DJ Tips studio, with our every question you could possibly want an answer to about the new XDJ-AZ live show, now finished. Get good, get out there, make the moments. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.